Hello, it's X-Spoilers time, and I'm X-Spoilers Tim. This is X-Men 11. The cover has the X-Team running from a giant axolotl that has rows of teeth, like how sharks have them as backup teeth. But this giant axolotl even has backup teeth on its tongue, and Temper's riding its tongue, which is a fun way to get away from a giant beast. The story opens with someone crash landing in Canada and saying the word flark. I thought it was this fish girl who was getting an annual checkup from the beast. A rocket ship is how I like to announce myself at doctor's appointments. Flark. Then the beast convinces her to turn into a bird, which I'm guessing means her power is that she could turn into an animal based on whatever she sets her mind to. In this part of the page, she says the word flying 3 times in a row. Flying, flying, flying. And I'm glad he suggested flying and not saying something like imagine yourself being slimy and weird, because if she says slimy, 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 she might turn into a slug person. But when she turned into a bird, she tore up her clothes and would have had to go get some new ones. But if she turned into a slug person, at least she would just have to throw her slimy clothes in the washer. I looked into it, and it turns out that the Beast Boy woman is someone that they saved in an earlier issue. Full disclosure, I am just getting back into reading the X-Men, so I don't know a lot was going on beyond what I saw on the internet. So the rest of the X-Men are on the Marauder, which is a rocket that looks like Death's Head's pee-pee. I like that the X-Men live in a janky factory now and are flying in a scrappy pee-pee rocket. They have to be frugal now. They can't even afford enough seats for the rest of the team. I can imagine in the future Grandpa Juggernauts like, back in my day we couldn't afford plane chairs. We didn't even have Uno cards, just white pieces of paper and our imagination. After Scott explained that they were investigating the crash and the movements of a mysterious figure, Temper concluded that whoever crashed is heading towards their headquarters, and Scott said she got points because it's a quiz. And Juggernaut and Magik threw their cards in the air and used their imagination and said, I guess this is confetti now, hooray. Turns out that the mystery crasher is Corsair, Scott's father. And he's like, oh papa. I should have known it was him. Granted, I have blind spots in the X-Men lore, but I guess Corsair is not only known for being an absent father, but also he likes to say flark, which is a space term for So they hug, and you could tell they're related because Scott has his father's angular butt cheeks. And then Magik sees him, and Scott is like, oh, did you want a hug too? And she's like, yes, but also I want to punch your pop-pop. And his father spit some slobber out. And if you really want to know why she made him spit his slobber out, you have to go by the book. And then the Beast starts missing his dad too, so Magneto's like, there, you could sit on my lap while you do your homework. So then Corsair explains that he's being chased, but he's not explaining why he's slobbering so much. It was such a 90s thing to have slobbery mouths where there's saliva connecting the teeth. I'm glad they're doing that still. The 90s wasn't just about violence and TNA, but also about having very viscous slobber. And so it looks like he's being chased by a happy air whale. He seems so happy he probably thinks Baby Shark is about him. Quentin explains that the air whale is being driven by Skrulls and Badoons. And Scott's like, ooh, we could definitely fight those guys, let's go fight them. And Corsair is like, wait, why does Psylocke have a branding iron for ponies? And she says it's not a branding iron for ponies, it's a psychic laser sword. And Scott says, yeah, I have a psychic eye sword too. And Magik's freaking out because she's not sure she's going to land on the ground properly. She probably thought that there was more sky left, so she went into the jump out of an airplane position. And the Skrull is like, oh my god, it's Juggernaut's shoe. And this other Skrull is like, I'm gonna try to lick it. This Skrull's mouse lover is pink. I don't know if that's canon, or if it's canon that they drink Pepto-Bismol before a fight. Here you see a Badoon get shot, and the guy behind him is like, "Brian, you forgot your two-sided spear." Then while they're fighting, Scott realizes their armor is ruby quartz, and Corsair is like, "That's what I'm trying to tell you, you dolt. They're not trying to catch me, they're trying to catch you." Yeesh, it's almost as if you have lasers coming out of your ears too. And then Quentin gets a message and they're like, "Who are you?" And we find out that it's Alpha Flight, who is led by Canadian Frozone. So despite Corsair being a absent father, him coming down to tell Scott that people are after him reminds me of whenever my dad calls me to tell me that, like, he got a letter sent to his house that was addressed to me. Like maybe it's from like a school I went to, or like the IRS is trying to arrest me or something. But this reminds me of a modern father-son relationship. And I like Juggernaut too. I wish people did more interesting things with him. He's one of the OG characters. I want to see him smash through things and be unstoppable. But if anything, they have him do regular strong guy things like open doors and imaginary poker. Recently they had him go against the Blob, who I also like. It's a classic mashup, the immovable force versus the unstoppable force. But here instead it just, they punch. Or maybe he power squatted at his face. I don't mean to complain. As much as old nerds have strong opinions about comic books, people are hating on things like the new Captain America movie, and I had fun watching it. And you forget that nerd things aren't always for you. I was reminded of that when I saw that the first letter in the back matter was from a 12-year-old boy who is really into this series. And I thought it was cute. We have to shepherd in the young folk so that they could grow up to be mean, judgmental nerds like us. Anyway, this is the first video of the channel I'm trying to do, so if you want to see more, show your support and subscribe and like and press the bell picture and make some comments so I know that my energy is worthwhile spent. Anyway, support the comics and your local comic shop and read the whole actual story.